Is it allowed to say, Allahumma innaka afuwwun KAREEMUN Tuhibbul Afwa Fafu Anni? So this is a dua, of course, which we get reminded of in Ramadan, and of course in last 10 nights, and it's a very powerful, emotional one. The Prophet ﷺ was asked by Ayesha radiallahu anha, what's the best thing that we can say on laylatul Qadar? And the Prophet ﷺ said, Allahumma innaka afuwwun tuhibbul afwa fa'fu anni. Oh Allah, indeed you are the one who pardons and you love to pardon, so pardon me. That's the only authentic actual narration in this area or around this subject. The addition of KAREEMUN, which is you are the most kind, all right, to add that more emotive kind of request, is not actually authentically narrated. And so it's not from the sunnah to say this dua. So what does that mean? If you have a dua which is authentically narrated, exactly, and then a slight addition which is not so authentic, or the wording is not authentic, what does one do? Well, I want to just give you a quick primer on dua. You know, if we had a scale of 0 to 10, and we said a dua is 1, if I was to say a dua is at level 1, I mean that this dua is accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you might say, hold on, if a dua is accepted by Allah at 1, what on earth is a 9 or a 10? So this is where I say to you that actually don't forget that dua is an act of worship that Allah loves. And the dua which you make is something that you get rewarded for. Every moment that you're in dua, you get rewarded for. And the more effort you make, you get rewarded for. And the more extra things and sacrifices you make, you get more rewarded for, as well as increasing the likelihood of the response. So for example, being in wudu, doing acts of worship before it, like prayer before it, or tawaf or sadaqah before it, to be in the last third of the night, to be in a good place, like in the haram, or to be traveling, or in rain, or in difficulty, or dhulm. These are things which increase the rank of that dua and the reward as well. Also sticking to the Arabic, or learning Arabic for that, or to only stick to what Allah said in the Quran, or what the Prophet ﷺ narrated. Of course, that's more rewarded and more better in the sight of Allah than a dua at number 1 or 2, which might be the dua of the heart, or you speaking in English, or even a non-Muslim making dua. So these are all du'as which can be made, and you know, as Ibn Taymiyyah said, this is du'a of the heart primarily, which is listened to, then the tongue. But the du'a of the tongue increases the quality of that du'a. So now that you know that, back to this issue, why would you use Allahumma innaka afuwwun KAREEMUN Tuhibbul Afwa Fa'fu Anni, knowing that it's weak? Well, you might connect with it better, and so you might want to say, just like you might want to say, Ya Allah, help me, pardon me, forgive me, in your own English, because you're able to connect in that moment, and we understand that. But the reward cannot be the same as the person who puts the effort in to learn that which the Prophet ﷺ recommended us to do. So if a person wants to worship on laylatul Qadar, or any time, but specifically laylatul Qadar, in the odd nights, with the exact statement that the Prophet ﷺ said, so that they get the extra amount of reward, then they shouldn't say KAREEMUN. But if a person just wants to use this dua themselves in a basic level, and knowing that it's not the sunnah, then it's allowed to do that. If we're allowing someone to make dua in English or in Urdu or whatever, then why wouldn't we allow him to say in Arabic with a good meaning as well, even though it's not authentic? Just don't say that this is what the Prophet ﷺ said, because that would be incorrect. But is it allowed to use? Fine. But is it better to use the original one? Of course it is. Stick to Allahumma innaka afuwwun tuhibbul afwa fa'fu anni. Hey, thank you for watching, and subscribe so you can continue to get the rest of the videos. I don't know whether somewhere over here, there, whatever, whatnot. It's beautiful, this series of videos, Faith IQ, and we need your support, and that's by watching it, by sharing it, and then by donating towards it, so we can continue to make more videos that deal with more of your issues. Jazakumullah khair, wa assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.